1 out of every 3 black babies, 800 every day, are terminated. That sounds like population control to me. Maybe people should learn how to use birth control? And the funniest things to me is when somebody is being outwardly racist but doesn't understand that they're being outwardly racist. In the first sentence, you make it sound like these women are being forced into having a termination that they didn't want. Then in the second sentence, you make it sound like these people are too stupid to use birth control. And then when you put these two statements together, it kind of sounds like you're saying maybe black women should not have bodily autonomy until they're better educated. Now, dude, let's put some context to what you think you believe. Black women and white women have abortions at pretty much the same rate. Yes, black women have a little bit of an edge on it, but there is probably a reason for that. But you know what? Neither of those demographics are forced into those terminations. They are things that they chose for themselves. And the main reason why these demographics have these terminations at higher rates is because of economic disparity and lack of access to health care. Basically, if you're too poor, you don't want to have a bunch of children come into this world that you can't feed or take care of properly, and then you end up in prison. But also, they can't afford to take off work to have these babies, or if they have any complications during this pregnancy and then lose work, how are they going to survive? Sometimes a quick procedure is the fastest way out of that problem. Or maybe they have relationship problems and they do not want to be tied to the father of that baby. They could have a condition where it might be dangerous for them to have a baby. Then you tried to say that birth control is 99% effective, which is not always the case. There are thousands of women a year that get pregnant while they're on multiple forms of birth control. And the weirdest thing about this is people who tend to be really anti-abortion really tend to be right-wing, which is strange because the left wing is more likely to have fewer terminations. What? That doesn't sound right. But let me explain. The left largely pushes for things like free healthcare and free contraception, which lowers the overall termination rate. We also push for sexual education at a very young age, which has been proven to reduce teenage pregnancies. It also cuts down on kid diddling because they get to learn about their body and what good touch and bad touch is at an early age, but that's a whole other video. And I get what you're trying to do here, dude. I get that you're just trying to save the babies and trying to make it look like the left is just so racist that they're trying to get rid of all these black babies. But in doing so, you're also saying that black women don't deserve rights over their own bodies and you don't think they're smart enough to take birth control. But let me just ask you this. If you knew for a fact that your parents did not want you, would you want them to be forced to have you anyway? Or would you rather not be born to a family that did not want you? Sure, they could end up having you and making the best of things, but more times than not, a lot of these kids are abused. They're neglected. They're treated poorly because they weren't wanted. The parents look at these children as a burden instead of a gift. And that's not good for the parent or the child. When you guys act like the worst thing in the world is not being born, I absolutely disagree. I would much rather have been not born than to be born to a family that did not want me. Y'all should stop using those manipulation tactics to try and make people feel guilty because it's not working for you the way that you think that it might be.